All right, we're back on sports, and I have to say this right now. It's been a good week for sports, a good weekend for sports, or depending on the teams that you have, maybe it's not been a good weekend. However, I do want to start off with what you've already seen in the header, which is the Philadelphia Half Marathon. As you can see, I competed. I shouldn't even say competed. I should say participated in the Philadelphia Half Marathon. Now, for those who don't know, I took this half marathon on short notice. Literally a couple days before this was going on. I took this on short notice. There was no training. I went into this cold. And I will say this about the Philadelphia Rock and Roll Half Marathon. Easiest half marathon so far I've run. And that was without any training or anything. I think the way the course was designed, that it was built for runners who knew their lanes and built for runners who knew their grooves. And I think that's what it was. I just coasted through the marathon with no problem. No pain, no strain, not tired, nothing. Even afterwards, I walked around for some, while and walked on back because it was like, seriously, like after crossing the finish line, I wasn't tired at all. I wasn't exhausted. A lot of people were falling out for some reason. I guess they just don't have that stamina. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I felt as though it was one of the easiest half marathons I've run so far. However, I do want to talk about the pros and cons of this half marathon. So, the race starts, all right, if you want to call it a race. Like, I hate to call it a race because it's not a competition. For some, apparently it is, but to me it's not. You know what I mean? It starts at 7:30, right? I didn't get a chance to run till 9. That's right. So, mind you, 7:30 in the morning we have to be there. That's when it starts, so you got to check in before that, okay? So you got to be there even earlier. It's 30 degrees outside. That's right, 30 degrees. You're seeing runners trying to stay warm. They're cold. Look. And, a number of marathons have this problem, depending on, how big the marathon is. I believe there was like 18,000 people there. OC&J Half Marathon didn't have that problem. They lumped up everyone together and was like, go run. You know what I mean? Didn't matter if you thought you were an elite or if you were just there just to, have fun. Go run. Everyone runs at the same time. That's not what they did here. They actually broke down in sections, in corrals, when you had to run. So I didn't get a chance to run till 9 o'clock. Like I said, was there about 6:40. I want to say I was there about 6:45, about that 6:45, 7 o'clock got there. And I didn't get a chance to run till 9. Now, there were a lot of people, like I said, who were cold, who were shivering, who were so bundled up. And I'm thinking to myself, anybody who's ever run, like in the cold, but you got to stay warm at one point, you should know that not to bring so many clothes. Especially if you're going to go to bag check after, before, and you got to put your clothes in there. Because when you start running, you start seeing people taking off layers of clothes and just throwing it away. I'll explain that later, okay? But there's a lot of people who were cold, a lot of people who were shivering, a lot of people who got very upset because they're like, I just want to run now. I want to get it over with. I want to start running now because I'm so cold. So it became a problem, okay? However, during the run, all right, I'll put it like this. I want to give a big shout out to the staff, to the volunteers, to the medical staff, to the way things were laid out. The Philadelphia Rock and Roll Half Marathon did the right thing. They did it right. They had the mile markers the way it should have been set up because they let you know. The medical staff was always on hand just in case somebody, got hurt or fell out or, passed out or something. They had a good amount of medical staff at almost every marker. Besides, there was also police that were on every block to make sure everything was okay. So they did a great job on making sure of runner safety and everything like that. Local support. Unlike the OC&J, local support, like I said, people would come out of their houses and they would cheer you. Like I said, in OC&J, I was getting high fives from police officers and just random people just saying, you can do it, keep it going. That wasn't the case here in the Philadelphia Rock and Roll Half Marathon. Literally, it was pretty desolate. I'm going to say that people who were out there supporting were some who were already dressed up for Halloween, since the race was on Halloween, or they were just there for specific family members or friends, okay? So there were, I think there was 1 or 2 people who had a sign that said, touch this sign for power, for speed. There were a lot of cool costumes, a lot of creative costumes, I'll say. There were a lot of Star Wars fans there who weren't participating, but that was the only local support you really saw. They were dressed up. I saw Princess Leia, Luke, and they were holding up signs that say, may the Force be with you. You know what I mean? Sponsors from Toyota was there that had signs that said, just think about it. Your lazy friends are sleeping right now. You know what I mean? While you're running. So, there were some really cool creative costumes. I saw 3 college girls, actually, who had to run across from each other, and it said on their backs, on their shirts, it said poorest costume ever, and it said, we're broke college kids, but you had to read it from left to right because that's how they were lined up, and they ran the entire time that way. A lot of cool costumes when it came to, and let me say this now, all right? There was a girl, and I blame her solely for this, okay? There was a girl who was dressed as a slice of pizza and was running. And I thought to myself, because on the back of her outfit, it said, you want a slice of pizza after the race. And when I'm running, because I'm getting ready to pass, I'm thinking to myself, damn, I do want a slice of pizza right now. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't thought about a slice of pizza up until this point. You know what I mean? Now I gotta have a piece of pizza. So, that was the thing. There were a number of people who, and I want to say this, because I said when I watched the NYC Marathon yesterday how I was very impressed with some of these people's times, and they're almost superhuman records. Some of these people are running 2-minute miles and everything. I put it like this: while I'm impressed by their times, I'm not going to gush over them. I'm not going to give them that media coverage they deserve. And I put it like this, because the guy who finished the Philadelphia Rock and Roll Half Marathon, he finished in under an hour, and I was like, so what? That's how I felt. So what? Oh, good training. Good for you. You want to know why? Because the people that I ran by or ran next to along the way, there's stories that they had on their shirts. There's stories or just their physical scars you can see. They have been through so much, and yet they're still here. For example, I'm running by these two girls, and the one girl, they're in their early 20s. The one girl, it says right on her back, she's like, I am a brain cancer survivor. The other girl that was next to her running with her, she's like, it says on her back, broke my back twice. She broke her back twice, and yet she's still out there. There was a guy in his 70s who was running the half marathon, holding the American flag, with the whole pole of the American flag. He's running the whole time this way. And I'm like, you've got to give credit to people like that. There was another guy I ran past who had one leg, and the other leg was like the mechanical leg with the blade on the end. Like, those are the type of people that are inspiring. Those are the type of people who deserve more credit. It takes a mass amount of heart's guts to go out there and do that. You know what I mean? As opposed to Captain America out there who's running a 2-minute mile, or Kenyon running a 2-minute mile. Even though it's cool to see, when you see all the hardships that these people are going through, people in wheelchairs, you know what I mean? Literally, not the advanced wheelchairs with the wheel with the tip on the front, so they don't tip over. No, we're talking about people who were just in regular wheelchairs, wheelchairing through the entire, half marathon. I saw so many inspiring things while running in this marathon, and I felt as though that deserves more attention than just some guy who trained and tried to be this elite Olympic level runner. To me, that says more. You know what I mean? So there's some good and some bad about these things, because I saw a lot of people who were vastly overweight, severely overweight, and they were struggling, but they still kept running, as opposed to runners, and I'm going to say this, runners who were in shape, first mile in. I saw a guy who looked like he was chiseled out of stone, right? First mile in, we're running, and he's like, fuck this shit, I'm going to 7-Eleven. And just abandons the course. Runs right into 7-Eleven because he wants a coffee. Because he says, I'm getting a coffee. I'm like, bro, we're the first mile in. You got 12 more miles to go. But I saw people who were vastly overweight, and you just wanted to cheer them on because, like I said, it's one of those things where you can't knock people for trying to lose weight or trying to get in shape. They're trying. You know what I mean? So you want to give them as much support as possible. And you saw people and that was mile 6 maybe? No, about mile 5. About around 4 or 5 around there. We were on Spring Garden at the time, running down Spring Garden. And you can tell they were slowing down. It's like, hey man, keep it up. Just keep it up. You got to keep their spirits up. Because for what I've seen so far when I've run, and I want to say once again, OC&J was a great example of people lifting each other up. Whether you got tired, whether you had to stop, whether you had to stretch a little, whether you just started walking, there was always somebody there to say, you can keep going, you can do it, don't quit. And in the Flyers 5K that I ran, there was none of that at all. You know what I mean? There really wasn't any support. There was just volunteers handing out water. In this one, there really wasn't that much support. Like I said, unless it was for said family members. And some of their signs for the family members were really funny because, I remember this one guy. He had a stroller with a baby in front of him, and he's holding up a sign that says, hey, such and such, their name. It was like, hurry up, because I need a diaper change. You know what I mean? There was all types of signs that were really funny that I saw. Run like your last Tinder date had just finished or something, was really bad. Like, there were just a number of great signs I saw. And I think that if there was any type of public support, it was from the children that were there. Like, there were, like, designated, like, cheerleaders that were there. They were kids, though. They had to be about 8, 9 years old, wanting high fives. So those are the type of, local support you got. But other than that, like, people coming out of their houses and stuff, you really didn't get. So another problem I had was pros and cons, runners in general. It seems like they don't understand runner etiquette. And I say this due to the fact that you have to understand, in this run in Philadelphia, where you're running, you're running through Market Street, Spring Garden, through Love Park. You're going, you're going down to the, not just the Parkway, but you're going to Martin Luther King, the Martin Luther King Drive. You're going around the waterfront and everything. You have to understand that Philadelphia still hasn't smoothened their roads. Some of them are still messed up. There are actually big, caution cones in the middle of the street at times where we were running, so you had to run around it. Here's the problem with that. There are some runners, and I'm going to say this right now, because all my bad experiences on Saturday were with women, not with men, okay? With women. They didn't understand the etiquette that if I say on your left or on your right, which means I'm passing you, that means watch out, okay? That means I'm letting you know that I'm on my way to pass you. That doesn't mean try and cut me off. That doesn't mean try to squeeze me to one point where if the caution cone is in the middle right here, all right, because the road is messed up, and one woman's on the right and one woman's on the left, and I got to pass you, all right, and I'm saying on your left, on your right, and you're like, nah, you're going to have to go in the middle if you want to pass us. And I can't because there's a cone in the middle, so what do I have to do? I have to slow my pace down and go around you, make sure I don't run into anyone else that's behind me. You can't do that. There was another woman that was running in front of me at one point, and then she just stops cold turkey. I'm going to use my milk for a minute. Does like this. Because she wants to take a picture of what's going on in front of her. Yeah, just stops cold turkey in front of me. You can't do that, okay? Like I said, it's almost like driving. Do you just slam on your brakes when you decide you want to stop? No. If there's a problem in your car or whatever, you pull over to the side. Do you not? Same thing with running. Pull over to the side. That's what you do. It got to one point where there was a number of people that I saw when we were at mile 7, I believe, where they had the water station. And I'm in group, so I'm running. I grab water and I grab a second water. And I turn around and I try to hand it to the woman behind because I noticed that she was slowing down a lot because she was getting tired. And I'm trying to hand her the water and she completely ignores me and goes over to the station. I'm like, really? So the older gentleman that was behind her, who seemed to be having problems, I handed him the water. He said thank you because I didn't know if he was going to make it to the station. And then I turned back around and started running again. It seems like the etiquette, to help each other, to push each other, to be positive, isn't there. There are a number of times, even near the end of the race, I'm talking mile 12, I'm seeing a number of women just cut each other off. And one woman was like, you bitch, because she cut her off. And the other one was, I just don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it was a number of people, especially near the end, they were getting very tired. And I understand that fatigue is setting in for some people, but you don't start cutting people off. You don't get into this competitive phase where you think, I don't want anyone to pass me. Even when I passed the finish line, I almost knocked over a girl at the finish line because I'm trying to get around her. Because that last mile, I pushed really hard that last mile. I'm going to say the 12-mile mark to the end, it was almost like track star. I took off. Like, I saw pretty much, I was like, let's get this over with. I'm tired of cruising. Let's go. You know what I mean? And I just took off. I just kept running and running. It wasn't just jogging. No, I wasn't jogging at that point. I was running. There's a difference. You know what I mean? There's a big difference. And I'm just passing people left and right, left and right. And I get to the finish line, and I see the girl. So I go over to the right to make sure I don't run into her. And what does she do? She literally does like this. And goes right to the right and slams into me. So I wouldn't be surprised if the photographers have a picture of me trying to catch the girl like this at the finish line. Because I knocked her down. Well, literally she ran into me, but still. It's something that I have seen a lot of on Saturday. I didn't experience that at the Flyers 5K. I didn't experience that at all at OC&J. I felt as though a lot of the runners, they were either novices or they just didn't understand the etiquette when it came to running. It's this simple. It's not that serious. It's not that competitive. There's no reason for what I saw, like I said, a number of women to be bitchy about running at the time. I just don't appreciate it at all. Because that's not what the running community is about. all right? It's about positive. It's about, you see the positives, smiling, everyone having fun. None of these people seem like they were having fun. None of these people. Other than the people who were, like, dressed up. But then, like I said, once you get later in those runs, people start to get, really irritated. I saw a lot of people being pushed going onto the bridge. I'm thinking to myself, if one person falls off this bridge, it's going to be a problem. Medical staff was right there, too. But it was like, you've got to be kidding me that you're seeing this herd of people fighting to get on the bridge so they can go across the bridge, come off the bridge, and go back around, because that's where the last, I'm going to say, the 9th mile into the 13th mile is. You got to make a U-turn and go back. So it was really tough to see. It was really hard to see people running on the bridge and bumping into each other and not really caring. It was like, you have to take your time. Sometimes it got to a point where it wasn't a single file, but as wide as the run was, it almost feels like it's a single file. And people were just pushing each other. And it's like, there's no reason for that at all. So I'm not going to blame the staff. Like I said, the Philadelphia Rock and Roll Marathon had its cons. It's mostly with the runners, not with the staff, not the way it was prepared. They made sure that every X amount of miles, there was a band playing rock and roll music. You know what I mean? At every X amount of miles, since it's a rock and roll marathon. You know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty cool. But it just seems like even the guy who finished, they did an interview with him. The entire, the guy who came in first. And his first comment, when he crossed the finish line, when I asked him, he was like, I didn't hear any Springsteen. And I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? You gotta be kidding me. That's come on now. Anyway, like I said, it's one of those things where it's just, I think that people took it way too seriously. And it really wasn't that serious at all. Like I said, I coasted with no problem. But I feel as though it still was worth the run, especially for the cause, and just to see how many people, actually came out to support. I went out there solo and was just like, let's do this. You know what I mean? There was a number of guys who really, while we were waiting to run, like I said, a lot of them were you can tell they spent all their time in the gym. They're chiseled out stone, and they're just looking they're talking they have an ego about themselves. I'm going to kill this course. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pass that person, that person, that person. And I'm thinking to myself, bro, you have no idea what you're in for. You have no idea. And you see these guys at the 3 minute, the 3 mile mark, and you're like, see ya, you just keep running. You know what I mean? It's like your time's going to be horrible. And the thing is, what I did like about, and I say that the OC and J didn't have, and the 5K didn't have, is that they had pace runners there. So at the half marathon, the Rock and Roll half marathon, they had people who were dedicated to a pace. So they would hold up signs, while they were running, saying, if this is the 2 hour 30 minute mark. So pretty much if you stay behind them, you'll finish your race in 2 hours and 30 minutes. You can pass that with no problem, of course. But they had a number of those, type of pace runners, those pace teams. And I really appreciated it because it let me know exactly, okay, this is the pace I'm running right now. I can easily pass this with no problem. Go on to the next pace. How do I feel once I get to this pace? I can easily pass this with no problem. Keep going. I really appreciated that a lot. So that's one thing that's new to me, in my experience when it comes to running. I just felt as though overall it was good. At the end, when we got our medals, once again, ignorant women. Let me say this now. For those who don't know, if you're cold, they give you these little thermal covers, right? I'm sure a lot of runners have seen it. So this one girl, volunteer, is handing me a thermal cover, right? This girl has to be about 5'6", 5'7", right? Jumps right in front of me, literally bumps into me shoulder-wise, slams into me, and I want one. And can you give me another one because my friend wants one? And the girl's hand is trying to hand to me. She's like, "Are you serious? You couldn't wait till I gave this guy this this thermal cover?" And she's like, "Well, did your friend run in a race?" And she's like, "Yeah, she ran a race." She's like, "You know what? Here, just take these." And then she turned to me afterwards. She was like, "Don't even worry about it. Here's one. Have a good day." It just goes to show you that there was just for some reason. Like I said, I never had any problem with the men. I remember even when I crossed the finish line. Just random guys would just give me fist bumps and everything. Good race, good run. Especially near the stretch because they had already finished before me and they were watching and rooting on and they saw how fast I was running at the end. They were just like, holy shit, you know what I mean? And one guy actually came up to me. He's like, I've never seen someone run so fast that that at the end like that because this one guy who was severely overweight and I applaud him for this, but he starts showboating 5 yards away from the finish line. You know, everyone's clapping for him, and he turns around, he's like, you, and he's doing all this, like, at the end, and he's turning around, he's doing all this, I blow right by him. I'm like, I'm not going to pay attention to him, I blow right by him. It was just really funny, you know, and it was just like, but it was great to see that people, you know, were having that type of, you know, that he was having his moment, you know what I mean? Still great. Also, I want to say now, because I'm going to move on from that, in other running news, I have to announce that this week will be, I'm going to take a break from videos because next week I have to go away, so I have to get on a plane. I have a 3-day run to do for various charities. Actually, I have to travel for this one, so I won't have any time next week to actually sit down and do a video like this. So what I'm going to have to do is I promised the gameplay, you know, the gamers that I will put some gameplay out because it's been a while, you know, since I put some legit Let's Play out. So I'll have some time to do that, you know, before I go. But after that, I don't have time to sit down and do this. So yeah, by all means, you know, after I get back, which it's on the 12th, I have to fly out on the 12th. So when I get back, we'll start doing sports videos. It'll start back up again. You know what I mean? But I have to fly out for this 3-day marathon, which is the Infinity Gauntlet Challenge. It's sponsored by Disney and Marvel. All themes will be superhero related, so it is a superhero run. It should be interesting. I'm going to hold a poll on Twitter for you know, for you guys and girls to vote on what I should wear. So I will be doing that soon, okay? I just want to say that now, though. But, yeah, that's going to be a big run. The first day, I have a 5K. The second day, I have a 10K. And then the third day is a half marathon. So 3 days straight, you know what I mean, to see what's going to happen, you know, to see if I can handle that. It should be interesting. I should be able to handle it, no problem. I did this without any training, you know, this one without any training. So, and I felt great. Recovery-wise, it was no problem. You know what I mean? Usually, you know, your muscles are sore after you run something like that. And I felt no pain whatsoever. So I feel as though I'm ready for this one. Now, I do want to move on, and I do want to talk about the NFL, because this weekend, the NFL is just, it's kind of disappointing. The Pittsburgh Steelers, as you know, Bell was injured. They're set him for the season right now. I don't know what's going on. I need to see more on it, because to be honest, I've been torn so many different ways on watching so much sports this week. But the Steelers look good defensive-wise when I was watching, and then Ben Roethlisberger comes along and throws 3 interceptions his first, you know, game back. What was it? 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions? You can't win a game like that. You can't. You just can't. All right. And then of course the defense is on the field so long, so it takes forever. However, I will put it like this: the worst game I saw yesterday had to be Giants versus Saints. You've got to be kidding me. That these teams, look, there's a difference between a shootout and just nobody showing up to play fucking defense. That's what, I'm sorry, but that's what there's no way that you can have this type of score. And literally, you're getting to a point where it's like, well, whoever's going to have the ball last is going to win. Because nobody's stopping each other. And it's disgusting to watch. I put it like this: nobody won this game as far as I'm concerned. Nobody. I say that because both teams played piss poor. Saints fans, even though the Saints won, Saints fans were mad because of the way they performed defensive-wise. Giants fans were mad because they lost. And it's like, nobody wins. Nobody wins in this one. Nobody. I'm sure that, you know, Drew Brees and Eli, they had a great game. They did. They both had great games. You can't take it away from either of them. But, like I said, defense is what wins games. As you know, defense wins championships. And if you think that the defense is all of a sudden going to get better for New Orleans or the Giants, that's crazy. That was absolutely disgusting to watch yesterday. It was. I'm over it. Denver versus the Packers, as you know, Peyton Manning, you know how this goes, all right? Seattle versus, versus the Cowboys. You know, look, I understand that, you know, us Eagles fans, we're on the bye, and we're coming back, and we want to play the Cowboys. Their running game wasn't that bad at first. It really wasn't, if you look at it. You know, a lot of people had question marks, you know, well, DeMarco Murray's gone, can McFadden stay healthy? And then we saw McFadden leave in the third. But Matt Castle, even like I said before, Matt Castle isn't great, but he's still better than Brandon Weeden. No matter if you put Des Bryant out there or not, it's not going to matter. It's not. All right? If that offensive line can't keep Castle, you know, supported, or should I say protected, it's really not going to matter. That guy took a number of nasty hits yesterday. You know what I mean? Greg Hardy gets hurt. Now, look, I have no sympathy for Greg Hardy. None. All right? We know what he's done in the past, okay? And we saw what happened, was it last week, where him and Des Bryant almost got into it. And then Greg Hardy, he bumps into his coach, his coach, he just pushes him and just keeps him walking. Look, NFL players have to blow steam. Everyone gets frustrated, but you can't do those type of things. You can't. And when that happened, we saw what happened with Greg Hardy, and then everyone was like, uh-oh, the Greg Hardy experiment's over. And then, the coach had to come out and say, look, we still want to invest in Greg Hardy. And now we know he's hurt. I have no sympathy for him whatsoever. Not at all. I'm just saying I don't. It seems like tonight is going to be a good game. We'll see what happens tonight. What was it? San Diego, they played pretty well. You know what I mean? I didn't get a chance to see that many games due to the fact that, actually, they didn't play that many games here. They really didn't. So that's a thing as well. You know what I mean? Also, I have to watch other sports that I really need to address. It's kind of hard to talk other teams, you know what I mean, when all you're doing is watching, said game, and you really don't know what they've been through that much. Like, for example, when the Saints, when they won, they had that kicker. I said the kicker redeemed himself, and you guys were letting me know. He's like, no, that's a different kicker. They actually got rid of that kicker. And I was like, oh, I didn't even hear any news about that. So it goes to show you that I can't keep up with everything, especially for everything I'm talking about today, because there's a lot to talk about today. And I want to talk right now on EPL. Chelsea. Piss poor performance. And it's not just against Liverpool. No. You showed the same problems when you played earlier this week against Stoke City. But I'm just going to forget Stoke City for now. There's no point. There's no point even talking about Stoke City and how you blew that, okay? No point. We can talk about Liverpool, though. And I want to talk about Jose Mourinho, okay? And for everyone, Chelsea fans, yeah, all right, you need to back it down a notch. And you're going to see what I'm talking about today, all right? This really, really upsets me. Jose Mourinho, all right, for you to be the coach of coaches, and I'm going to talk about this again as well. I'm going to bring it back up. Your team goes up 1-0 to Liverpool, all right? Ramirez, header, beautiful header, even though it was a flop before that, which we'll get the flop of the week this week. You will see it. But Ramirez, beautiful header, okay? You've already let the world know that if anyone scores on your team, they mentally collapse. You have said this, Jose Mourinho, okay? So when your team goes up 1-0, why aren't you making them push afterwards? Why are you telling your team to fall back? Why is this? That's what I want to know. Now, within the first half, all right, they give you the extra time. They give you the extra 2 minutes. And 2 minutes has surpassed, but they're still playing. That's right. And Liverpool scores. Now, technically, I can say it's bull because 2 minutes have passed for the extra time, and the whistle should have been blown long before they let Liverpool get into the box like that and score. I could say that. But in the interest of fairness, okay, we know that even though they give you that extra time, if an opponent is threatening to score, they let it run. They do. All right? It's not just like, 2 minutes, that's it. That's it. You know what I mean? They don't do that. It has to come to a neutral base. So pretty much, if Liverpool doesn't score right there and Chelsea kicks the ball away or something or gets control of the ball possession, then they would have blown the whistle. So it's legit. Liverpool scores in the interest of fairness. What bothers me is after they score, okay? Because your leader, your manager, walks off on you before the whistle's even blown. Liverpool scores. Chelsea is still on the field. The players are still playing, all right? Because they didn't blow the whistle. They're still playing, and Jose Mourinho abandons his team and walks into the back.
And last season, on a similar run, he did score in the 9th game at Southampton. That was a great goal down at St Mary's. This was terrific at Stamford Bridge as well. Well, team talks are going to be...
Now, before anybody says, well, he's going into the back so he can get his stuff ready, so he can let his team know what they need to adjust. Fuck that, all right? I'll put it like this. If that was a player walking off on their team before the rest of the team left, they would be considered selfish. It's the same thing with any coach or any manager. You don't leave your team out there. You don't abandon your team. You don't leave them out there on the pitch before it's over. You leave when it's time to leave. When that whistle blows, then you leave. You don't walk off in frustration and say, fuck it, I'm just going to leave my team out there to play. You don't do that. That is not what winners do. That is not with camaraderie within the people that you're supposed to be managing does. You fucked up, Mourinho, all right? Your ego has gone way up the reservation at this point. There is no reason. And for anyone who's watched this game, when ref calls are, I'll play this. The refs blew a number of calls. They did. They did, for both sides. And I'll be fair, because there was times I saw yellow cards for Liverpool. I was like, yo, that's not a yellow card. The guy from Brazil, the new guy from Brazil, he didn't deserve that yellow card, but they gave it to him anyway. You know what I mean? But when it was towards Chelsea, Mourinho was sitting on the side, laughing and clapping and mocking refs. What the fuck? No. It's one thing to have an opinion, but to try and antagonize refs in a childish manner because you didn't get the call that you felt deserved to be done, that your ego it's gone. You're checked out for the season, obviously. And I'll put it like this. A lot of people are saying Mourinho deserves it. Mourinho, he deserves a chance to finish the season, to try and turn it around. And, okay, he won a championship last year. You want to say he's the best coach ever, and we're going to talk about that soon, okay? And you want to say, okay, he deserves a chance to turn around. When you leave your team like that, you don't deserve shit. That's how I feel. You screwed the pooch on this. If you think about it, if you look at the timeline for all of this, getting rid of the medical staff, throwing the players under the bus, acting this way, getting fined, all right, and then almost banned one game, and then you appeal it. You decided not to talk to the press afterwards at one point. You denied interview. After this game, you walked off of the interview because you were so pissed off because you lost. This man is out of control. He's out of control. Let's just call it what it is, all right? And during this game, all right, Diego Costa. Now, look, usually I get on Diego Costa. We've talked about this before, about his antics, okay? And for those who don't know, Diego Costa could be facing a 4-game ban for this right here.
Each other again. I think both enjoy the tussle.
Well, there's a little bit of afters on the floor here. Just watch. There's a little kick out there, and then watch Costa with his legs. There we go. And he goes, I'm sorry, because he's in a position of vulnerability lying on the floor. There's a little kick out there.
If you ask me, there's no reason to hunt for Diego Costa on this one. Look, the kick happened. He apologized. The guy accepted it. They shook hands and everything. That should be the end of it. That's it. All right? That's it. He said, I'm sorry. That's it. He pat on the back and they just started playing after that. No way are you going to tell me that you're looking to give him a 4-game ban after. It's one thing if he had an attitude, he kicked the guy, and they started arguing and fighting and carrying on, and then he pulled apart or anything. We've seen this before from Diego Costa with his attitude. But that's not the case here, okay? Afterwards, he's like, look, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? He's like, I didn't mean it or whatever. There's no reason why there should be a possible 4-game ban for that. There's not. We've seen a hell of a lot worse from him, okay? And his attitude, and not apologizing. Yes, he apologizes for this one. And once the player, accepts his apology and the refs see it, that's it. It's the refs that say, oh, no, this is too much. We're going to card you for anything. No, not at all. So as far as I'm concerned, they shouldn't even be hunting for Diego Costa for this, all right? However, there's more news, all right? Because of Mourinho's actions, all right? Because of the way he's acted. There is a Chelsea player, and of course, they don't name the Chelsea player, but there's a Chelsea player that says he'd rather lose than win for Mourinho. Now, of course, this is from Bleacher Report. This has been reported at a number of sites right now, so I don't know how legit it really is. And of course, they don't name names, but they also talk about how his relationship with Hazard is very strained right now. Mourinho has lost his team, and I knew this was going to happen after he did that interview. Did I not say that? This is just something that he is going. And you have these fans. Look, fans, when Jose Mourinho, okay, when you think that he's the best and he's acting this way and he's just freaking out, how dare you have a banner that says this? And after they showed that, Liverpool scored the third goal, and Chelsea fans who were in this section walked out the building. I will put it like this. It's sweet irony. I will put it like this, okay? You cannot be simply the best when you are leaving your team on the pitch. Okay? You're abandoning your team. You're not simply the best when you're throwing your team under the bus. You're not simply the best when you're acting like a petulant child, antagonizing referees. That is not what the best does. The best, you know what they do? They overcome adversity. That's what they do. And they stay professional. Jose Mourinho has not shown any of that within this season. And as far as I'm concerned, because mathematically, let's be honest here, you can't make top 4 at this point. You're done. You're done. All right? And I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of you after the end of the season, Mourinho. But let's also put it like this. The goal should be now isn't to be top 4, top 10. No. Because the way you guys are playing, the goal should be not to get relegated. That's the goal right now. There is no way you can sit here and tell me this is team excellence. And then they keep saying, well, it's the mentality. They took off too long in the offseason. The champagne flowed a little bit too much afterwards. I'm not trying to hear this anymore. Look at the way you start. You had the worst start in EPL history after coming off a championship. The worst overall in history. Do you understand that? There is no way you can sit here and tell me simply the best. Team excellence. We're just not getting the calls that we deserve or that we need. And it's starting to reflect now. I'm not trying to hear that. You played through adversity. You should know. It's been excuse after excuse after excuse. Has it not? It's the refs. It's the players. Oh, we all need to be held responsible. Okay, Mourinho. Well, then why don't you take some responsibility and stop walking off in the middle of interviews? Stop denying. Because remember, if you'd have won, you'd have been talking to the moon, to the sky. Oh, how great you are. Wouldn't you have? I am so sick of seeing this type of ego. It's not even the players. The players don't even have this type of ego. You don't see them coming out and be like, yeah, we're the man. No, you don't see them doing that, do they? No, not at all. It's only Mourinho doing that. Only him. Every time you see something like this, it falls back on the manager. Like I said, as soon as you scored that first goal, you should have pressed. And you didn't. You fell back. A person who prides themselves off of the defensive game, which we saw last season, we are seeing all the problems that's come into this, have we not? And there's so much flopping. I'll put it like this. There was so much physical play, but also a lot of flopping within this game of Liverpool and Chelsea. And I want to say, like I said, Grivenforth's flop of the week goes to Ramirez. You cannot tell me that this made you do a helicopter spin and fall on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, there's history between these two teams anyway. Going back, there's some big, great contests over the years, but there's added spice to it now with a new manager and Klopp trying to get his ways over to his players and understand the Premier League.
And before anybody says, well, he looked hurt, yeah, that was 30 seconds before he scored his header. He wasn't hurt. It's a damn act. That's all it was. Ramirez should be ashamed of himself as far as I'm concerned. He's played quite well this season, but no. We're not going to do that. No, like I said, if you flop, I'm going to call you on it. And there's no way just because, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do, that I'm just going to decide to flop. That's what it comes down to. At the 54-minute mark, all right, William decides he's going to try and take this ball, and he's running back and forth. He's covered. He can't do anything. And I'm thinking to myself, all you got to do is kick it back to your goalkeeper and clear the lines. That's all you got to do. Make it easy. What does he do? Hold on to the ball for 2 minutes, going backwards, trying to find a way around. And he goes nowhere with it. It's almost like watching a chicken with his head cut off. It is. There's no way that you can sit here and break, I would say, protocol. I mean, it's common sense. If you are trapped by two different players, all right, and you're pretty much in your own box, kick the ball back to your goalkeeper, let him clear the lines, and let him throw it out or kick it out. It's that simple. But no, everyone wants to try and do their own thing now because they're down. They want to try and be a fucking hero. And you know what? It's not working. It's disgusting. It is. It's hard to watch. It is. Speaking of hard to watch, I'm still on football, but not overseas. I want to talk about MLS. Philadelphia Union. Now look, I've said time and time again on here about the Philadelphia Union that, the team is so bad because of the way the front office works that maybe it's time they hold an open tryout. Have I not said that? Well, the golden opportunity has come along. That's right. The Philadelphia Union contacted me not too long ago and gave me an invite to their tryout. This is what was sent to me. Now, as it states, tryouts are on the 22nd. Now, I don't know if I have the time to do this due to the fact that on the 12th, I have to, to go fly and do that run, and then I'm still trained for boxing. I don't know if I have the time to actually go play, try out for professional soccer, you know what I mean? But I do appreciate the invite. It just goes to show you the opportunity is there every once in a while. Maybe if I don't take it this year, they'll have the tryout next year and they'll invite me again, and maybe I'll do it then. Because as far as I'm concerned, I just don't know if I can jam all those things, you know what I mean, in that short amount of time frame. I just don't know if I have the time to do it. So, yeah, it's that's tough. But like I said, I do appreciate the tryout for the Philadelphia Union. I appreciate that very much. I do want to move on, and I want to talk about the Rugby World Cup. And I want to talk about how bad the Rugby World Cup was, the final. Not because of the play, no. The play was stellar, all right? The game was great. Congratulations, New Zealand. It was a great game. Here's the problem with broadcasting and NBC, okay? Because as soon as they won, And they were like, oh, it's the final, it's over. They went to commercial. They didn't show the celebration. They didn't show anybody happy, like players, nothing. They come back, and they're already having interviews with players behind, the screen or whatever. And you're still not seeing any celebration. You're just talking to certain players. They don't even seem excited, really. They're talking to the media. Commercial again. More commercials. They come back. They talk to another player, interview-wise. Commercial again. More commercials. They have a commercial for, the Rugby Sevens, the USA Rugby Sevens, cut short mid-commercial to plug NASCAR, okay, because America. Come back, and then they start showing recaps of the players celebrating. So they show you about 1 or 2 screens of players, their initial reaction when the time ran out, that you didn't show live, okay? Then, more commercials. So we're talking about, I want to say about 20 minutes later. They're showing the players on the podium, holding up the trophy, and then fireworks in the background. As soon as the fireworks in the background go off, it's over. Like, really? So, we didn't see anything, really. Like, I was just like, it did such a disservice to the Rugby World Cup, to a final, that we would see something like that. And it really made me mad because, as you know, if you watch EPL, you watch any other celebration, when somebody wins the championship, they just go nuts. They show the players going crazy, they show the crowd going crazy, or in this case, what happened last night, I guess the crowd being silenced, because, they were celebrating on the Mets field. But you still saw the players celebrating, you know what I mean? Initially celebrating to get that reaction. You didn't get that here when it came to the Rugby World Cup, so I have no idea how they reacted. So anyone from across the pond can tell me what happened, please let me know, because I don't know. You know, like I said, they just went to commercial. That's all they did. We saw more commercials, or I should say, I saw more commercials than I would think it would be the same thing here just in general because it's a national broadcast. So we saw all these commercials as opposed to the human element of triumph, of, the reaction, the feeling of being overjoyed, a player succeeding after working so hard. How do you just cut that out? How do you cut that out, really? And then you show us a bunch of commercials, then you come back, they hand them a trophy, they do like this, and then fireworks. And then the thing is, it was like a half-assed fireworks display because anyone who saw, the way they do EPL, you know how they have the ticker tape and everyone's cheering, they show you, and they go on an angle, and they do, like, it's very cinematic as opposed to rugby. They were just like, yay, we won. You actually saw, it was so bare bones that you actually saw the pyro stands behind them. Like, it was like, ooh, firework, okay, that's it, it's over. Like, if you're trying to sell rugby to us Americans, you're going to have to do a hell of a lot more than that. You're just going to have to. There has to be some better production. There has to be something. You got to put some money into that, man. Seriously. Like, they were just like, yeah. Like, the beginning of it, the way they were on the line, they're doing the little, their cadence and all, that was more inspiring than the actual celebration at the end was. Don't understand it. Anyway, so we'll move on. I want to talk about the Flyers. And the reason I'm talking about Philadelphia Flyers is because last week you guys in the comments was like, no Flyers talk. So I'll talk about the Flyers. Flyers suck. What do you want me to say? I mean, they're atrocious. They're horrible right now. Their defense is horrible. They just don't... Look, I'll put it like this. A lot of people have been saying, you can't get on the Flyers. They're still a good team. They still have the pieces in play. What you have to understand is that we have a new coach. It's going to take a long time for these guys to get a groove. All right? Everyone has to get new chemistry. Training camp, summer camp is not enough. Shitting the beach, as they would say, is not enough. You have to understand, this is the growing pains, factor right now. I know you don't want to call it a rebuild. I get it, but let's be honest here. It's a rebuild. A lot of new names, a lot of guys who deserve to be promoted from last season that came up. It still feels like, dare I say, it still feels like it's the Phantoms playing in the NHL. You do have Giroux, you do have Simmons, you do, you know what I mean? You have all, those guys. But we're really missing a lot of intensity. I really feel as though they shouldn't have got rid of Zach Ronaldo. And I know a lot of people are mad at Ronaldo because what he did to Couturier, I don't care. All right? Because if Ronaldo was still on our team and he did to someone else, you'd be cheering for it. That's it, bottom line. So, I don't care. But the fact is, they should have not, you can't get rid of your enforcers that way. You can't. And if you look at the other team, what we have, you're going to say, we have this person, this person. It's like, it's going to take a while. So every Flyers game from here on, even though sometimes they played hard, they won the OT, and then they lose either in the shootout or they lose in the overtime, which, you know what, I'm really digging the new overtime. The 3-on-3, really, really fast-paced, really exciting to watch. It is. But you have to understand that this is going to take a while to get fixed. So when I see you guys freak out on Twitter, or I see some people freak out on YouTube, understand, this is something that you should be used to. Get used to it. Strap in, get used to it, all right? Because it's not like the team just going to all of a sudden wake up, turn around, and be like, we're a winning team now. No, it is a learning process since we have a new coach. And I understand you're going to have Ron Hextall. As we've seen, he was in the damn office smashing things and carrying on because he was so damn angry because the way they were losing. You have to understand it's going to take a while before they start winning again. I thought you, as Flyers fans, y'all noticed by now. For real, y'all would notice by now. This is not one of those things where, this year, this may be our time this year, we got some hope. No, no. We have a new coach, new system, no. It's going to take a while. Besides, I think there's some players, if you ask me, it's starting to get a little complacent. I don't know why Giroux isn't shooting the puck more. And I've had a problem with him for the previous 2 years. Because there's times on power plays, he should be the guy. I understand that you're sending it over, and you know what? They're expecting Giroux to take that shot. That's why they close down on him. If you notice, every time when he's on that wing, this is what I don't understand. You got to move him. Either you move him, or what you do is when Giroux gets that puck, let him go to the center and do a wrist shot, and then let those grinders dig it out in front of the goalie. Oh, I forgot, you got rid of Hartnell, but you still have Simmons to do it. You should have kept them. You still should have kept Hartnell, so that you have double the players to do it, so they can antagonize a goalie, but. It was contract issues. You didn't want to pay the man or whatever it was. So, whatever. And that's not saying much either because he went to Columbus and look what Columbus is doing right now. Didn't they just get rid of their coach? So, whatever. Anyways, I want to move on to more disappointment. I want to talk about Philadelphia 76ers and basketball. Okay, 76ers, you suck. You suck. And I know a lot of people are very happy of what they're seeing out of Okafor. Oh, well, his first game. Look at the points he put up. Okay, that's one game. Come back to me when he's played 30 or 40 games. How about that? Are they winning? No, they're still losing. Did you see the Utah Jazz? Did you see the way that guy came from the Utah Jazz, pretty much took off from the foul line and just dunked it in all the Sixers' faces? Just stop. Just stop. And this new commentator, oh my God. I told you, he's trying to fill in. He's trying to be positive. He's Malik Rose 2.0, like when he first started. So he's trying to be positive. This is a young team. Dude, we've heard this before. It's almost like you're reading off of a script. This young team, it's going to take them a while. They're on the right path to success. When you've been a Sixers fan as long as most of us have, we've heard that shit and we don't want to hear it anymore. We're tired of hearing youth. No. We have some pieces. I'll say that. I'll give them some credit. Okafor, he's playing okay right now. And I say okay because for the numbers he's putting up, it's got to be consistent and you have to see it for a long time to say, hey, this guy's going to be a factor. You know what I mean? Going to be a factor. For those who don't know, the Sixers just exercised their option with Nerlens and Embiid, even though Embiid hasn't played yet. So they're going to be here. But it's just one of those things where you just have to wait. It's way too damn early for anybody to say, this guy's playing well, when it's only been a number of games. Like I said, wait till about 30, 40 games, then you can come talk to me, okay? Like I said, you got to see consistency. This is the NBA. You cannot play 1 or 2 games great and decide you're going to get all this hype. They tried to do the same shit with Flash Thompson. What was it, 2 seasons ago, wasn't it? No, last season. When Flash Thompson, for those who don't know, Flash Thompson, that's the guy that I always get on. Flash Thompson is a problem. Because he had one great game last season. They're like, this is the guy we've been waiting for. He's been sitting on the bench this whole time, and blah, blah, blah. And he had one game, one good game all season. One breakout game all season. And it wasn't even superstar numbers. So it goes to show you that the media will latch onto anything to try to sell the Sixers. Like I said, you suck. You're going to suck for a while. Take your time. I understand you're going to keep losing. Fans like myself are absolutely frustrated with you because of this losing shit. But you know what? We're almost kind of used to it. And it's kind of sad to say. So every time I see a Sixers game, I put like this. Even if they win, I wouldn't be happy. Because you know they're going to lose the next 6, 7 damn games. You know it. You know it. And don't give me this shit that you don't. Anyways, I want to move on to the more of the NBA. I want to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Miami Heat. I had a chance to sit and watch that game. And is it me or Was it not that competitive? Like, and what I mean by that is not both teams, because both teams were playing competitive. I mean, we saw Thompson just reject the shit out of Chris Bosh. And here's the thing. They made a big deal out of Tristan Thompson rejecting Chris Bosh, but when Thompson got rejected by, what was that kid, Whitehead or whatever, Whiteside, they didn't say really anything about it, which was kind of odd. But it seemed the competitiveness between LeBron James and Dwayne Wade just isn't there. It just seems like two friends phoning it in. That's what it feels like. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. They played their individual games. Dwayne Wade, it's kind of sad to watch what he's become. Because this guy used to be a factor. And now he's just like he's missing shots and he's just like, not that big of a deal. I guess when you're a veteran, you've been in the game that long, I guess it doesn't matter. But it just feels like playing very soft against LeBron every once in a while when they're matched up, because as you know, two different positions, so they're not really matched up every time. But when you get the mismatch, it didn't feel like it was competitive. It just felt like it was two friends like out in the park shooting the ball, not really caring. That's what it felt like. And I felt it hurt the game a lot. But, you know, Cleveland won, and they're projected to, I would say, once again, be in the top three again this year. I mean, they lost to the Bulls earlier. This was it in the season? I mean, season opener, they lost to the Bulls. But I think they're going to still be top three. You know, Atlanta, they didn't. I played this. Atlanta played. Who was it? Who the hell did they play? Atlanta played. You know, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like I said, these games go by so much, it's a blur. But Atlanta was playing. Oh, they played the Knicks. They were playing the Knicks, and Knicks fans were hyped for the Knicks. But it's like y'all was losing by 20, and y'all was still hyped. And I'm like, why are y'all hyped? Like, y'all losing by 20 to a team with Atlanta who was elite. And then remember, they were projected to go all the way last year, and then they kind of ran out of steam. Knicks, do they look better than last year? Yeah, they look better than last year. But once again, you have to wait till X amount of games into the season to see what you really have. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. However, Melo just not too long ago put up, 37? That's not bad. Steph Curry put up, 54, something like that? That's not bad either for the Golden State Warriors. Rockets don't look well at all. We'll see what happens. Like I said, it's way too early in the season to be like, this said team that made the playoffs aren't good. You know what I mean? This said team that was rock bottom, you know, are great now. Like, there's too many. It's too early in the season to say who's contenders and who's pretenders. You know what I mean? Unless they have a solid, you know, roster that they carried over from last season. So, there's that. Like I said, but Sixers, yeah, you still suck. Anyways, I want to move on. I want to talk about boxing. That's right. I want to talk about, first off, Premier Boxing Champions. I want to talk about Harrison versus McCall. Now, look, Harrison versus McCall shouldn't have happened. That fight, for anyone who saw, shouldn't have happened. McCall is sitting there like this. I want to say this. I'm sorry, not McCullough. Sitting like this the entire time in defense, right? Harrison, from round 1 to round, I'm going to say 9, teeing off him with the jab. Controlling the ring with the jab. Now, it said in the beginning of this fight that the judges were looking for aggressiveness, they were looking for defense, they were looking for ring generalship. They let you know in the beginning what they were looking for. McCullough showed nothing. Not even defense. Alright? Because his hands is up here, guess what? Taking body shots. Taking body shots, hands lowered, taking shots to the face. That's what happened from rounds 1 to round 9. This fight didn't actually happen till round 9. Now, mind you, it was a 10-round fight. So, round 9 and round 10, guys started fighting. That's right. McCullough started actually throwing punches back. Yes, he was throwing, and he was connecting. I didn't understand why you would let the guy who's taller than you, has the longer reach, sit back all day and pick you the hell apart. Step inside, stand up with him, all right, and get him against the ropes, lean up on him against the ropes, and start throwing. And that's what he did in round 9. He was catching Harrison with a lot of right hooks, overhand rights, and he was catching him. And Harrison, he started stumbling at one point. And he was like, come on, he want to keep fighting. Why did you wait so long? Is beyond me. Your face looks like hamburger by round 9, all right? Because you're like this the whole time, and you're walking forward, and you're getting punched, and you're not doing anything from round 1 to round 9. Then you expect round 9, because these are championship rounds, since it's only a 10-round fight. Rounds 8, 9, and 10, those are your championship rounds, all right? You decide to take off round 8 still, but round 9, now you're going to start throwing. Round 10, now you're going to start throwing, but it's too late. It's too late. Doesn't matter. So, yeah. If you're going to watch that fight, pretty much watch round 9 and round 10. It's not even really worth your time. It's really not. Also, I want to talk about Jamel Charlo versus Alcine. I want to talk about this. Charlo. Okay. I don't have a problem with Charlo. I'm a big fan of boxing. Both the brothers, I think they're great at boxing. I think they are. Okay? 154 pounds around there? Great at boxing. I want to say this now. Jamel Charlo, you won the title not too long ago by beating K9 Bundridge, right? Who is over 40, okay? You're a young man, you're faster, you're stronger, you're more agile, you have the edge. So yes, you're going to beat K9 Bundridge. For those who remember K9 Bundridge, he used to fight on the Contender years ago. Yeah, but he was still champion. So, okay, he won that. You know, he deserved that. You fought Alcine, who is 39 years old, who looks to be in shape of a 50-year-old, okay? Because this guy, I don't even know why he's fighting. Seriously, it's not to disrespect him because he has a great fighting record, but you've got to be kidding me. At 39 years old, you look like you're 50, and you're standing in the ring like you're 50, and you're just taking punishment. I didn't understand this. You were fighting like an old man. You were looking like and for those who don't mean, when I mean like an old man, what I mean is, you know those old heads that are like, all right, I'm going to let you get all those punches. I'm going to wait till I get that one punch, and I'm going to hit you with everything I got. Here's the problem with that. That one punch never came. So you were just getting your ass whipped for all the rounds. Now, within this fight, of course, Charlo won, which he deserved to win, because he beat this guy's ass from round one till they actually stopped the fight, because they had to stop the fight, because the guy was taking too much damn damage. This old man was just getting beat up, and like I said, there's a difference between being 39 and being in shape and being a good boxer, because we've seen it, in history, guys who were well over their prime, still able to fight. You know what I mean? And if you use a technical fighting, I'll put it like this. Roy Jones, let's bring this up right now. Roy Jones, as we sit here right now and say, in his prime, phenomenal athlete. Freak of nature. We can say that, right? Roy Jones' style he was fighting was what? His hands was all down here, and he'd do all this, and he'd hit you and punch you and do yeah. Not a technical boxing style, but he could get away with it because of how much of an athlete he was. He was a freak of nature. His genetics was there. If Roy Jones, and I'll say this with all the confidence in the world, if Roy Jones would have taken just a little bit of boxing experience and technique and honed his skills in traditional boxing later in his career, he could have extended his career a good 10 years. At least I feel as though he could have. Okay? He could have. Now, with that being said, Alcine, hands are all down low, getting punched in the head. Like I said, he fought like an old man. He got destroyed. Charlo wins, which he deserves to win. And then he comes out and says this afterwards.
And what's next for you? What's next for me is the WBC. Right now, Floyd Mayweather holds the title at the WBC. I'm ranked number 1 in it. If Floyd don't get rid of the titles, or if he don't want to get rid of the titles, there you go. I'm there. I'm not calling him out. Got a lot of respect for him. He did a great thing for boxing. But if you don't want to let go of the titles, and if you're not completely retired, give me 154.
It sounds like you're asking Floyd for a fight?
Absolutely. Of course we would love to fight Floyd. But I'm ranked number 1 and I just want the WBC. My brother has the IBF, Lauren has the WBA. The WBO, I want it. Come get it to me. I'm going to come and get it. And the WBC, I'm right there. So let's go.
Good message. Congratulations.
While I appreciate Charlo's confidence, you fought a guy who was over 40 for your title. You beat a guy who was 39 who looked like he was 50, and you're calling Floyd out. Really? Look, if you're going to call Floyd out, you might as well take a number. Take a ticket, whatever. Get into the back of the line, because there is a number of boxers who want to fight Floyd. That's what it comes down to. You're saying that you're going to come and get all these titles. I would rather Floyd fight Keith Thurman before he fights Charlo. I'm just saying. I would rather Floyd fight Adrian Broner before he fights Charlo. I'm just saying. Floyd, if he's technically not retired. Floyd, if he does have another fight in him, he's not technically retired. This has to be a big money fight for him in order to even think about getting in the ring again. You don't draw that much money, dude. You're a champion. Like I said, I respect Charlo. I think he's a great fighter. I think his brother's great. I think they're great fighters. It's just, you have to look at the politics of all this. You have to look at the business of all this. You are in no position, all right? You're not even as famous, like I said, as a Keith Thurman. You're in no position to call out Floyd. If that's the case, if anybody can call out Floyd, I guess I could call out Floyd then, huh? Like, that's how it feels right now. I understand that everyone's hungry, everyone wants a shot at Floyd, but come on. Come on. This is throwaway talk right now. You're probably not even on his radar. He's probably like, who's this guy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's, like, come on. Even Pacquiao is saying that his next fight is going to be his last against Crawford. If him and Crawford fight, that will be his last fight. The pound for pound, as they would say, legends in this generation, which are Floyd and Pacquiao, we know these are the two, they're on their way out. So for all these guys that try and come along all of a sudden and try and make a name for themselves, they're not going to have that. They've been through this already. You know what I mean? They know how the game is played. You think that they're going... No, stop. Just stop. Like, I do agree with Charlo to one point where he's like, look, you know, you're not giving away titles, you're not retired, but you won't give up the title or whatever. He has a point. You know, and he says he's done a great thing for boxing. There's no disrespect to him. He's done a great thing for boxing. But it's time, you know what I mean, to move on if you're not going to. I agree with that. I do. You know what I mean? If you're not going to fight, it's time for you to, to finally say, hey, I'm done. I don't think Floyd is done. That's the thing. But I sure as hell don't think he's going to fight Charlo. I think that would be easy pickings for him, to be honest. Like I said, I understand the confidence, but who have you beaten? You know what I mean? Like, in these previous two fights, if you ask me, they were gimmies. Charlo was so dominant, and he was so fast. The youth, the speed, the power, he was so dominant in both of these fights. I don't think, these competitors, I don't want to throw these competitors under the bus. These are fighters that have been around for years who have been champions or ex-champions. I don't want to throw them under the bus, but seriously, you can tell when someone's time is up, it is up. That's it. I understand you can't tell a fighter when to retire, but come on. If you watch these fights, they're like night and day. It's not that hard to see. And then you call out one of the best ever, I'll say. I'm not going to say the best ever. One of the best ever. That's what you do next? I don't see that happening. Also, in more fighting news, I'm very disappointed to announce that Spike has cut ties with Glory Kickboxing. That's right. Now, I'm very upset about this due to the fact that you have to understand that just not too long ago, Dynamite 1 that happened when you had Glory Kickboxing on one end of the stage, and on the other stage you have Bellator MMA. That was a great thing to see. It was an amazing event. And then Glory Kickboxing had, one or two more events after that, and then you cut ties with them? What the hell are you thinking, Spike? I really hope that Fox picks them up. I don't want to see them on like Showtime or something like that, because then, like I said, I have Showtime and all this, so I pay for it, so it's not a big deal. But I know a number of people who don't pay for it, and it's like, that's going to hurt them because they're so used to watching it on Spike TV, which is, as you know, regular cable, that you can just turn it on and watch it. You know what I mean? That's going to hurt a lot of people, I think. And for an organization like Glory Kickboxing that wants to get known, you don't want to alienate the fan base that you already have, the small fan base you have. I really feel this was a bad idea with Spike to just let them go. Yeah, I just think it is. Anyways, it's really sad. Anyways, I think I'm done for today. I think I've talked enough. Like I said, next week there won't be any videos, any sports videos. So we will talk next week. Come back after I watch Eagles Cowboys. Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot to say about that. But like I said, I won't be home. I'll have to watch it wherever I'm at. You know what I mean? To see the game. But anyways, I am done. Also, you know what? I'm not done. Let me say congratulations real quick to the Kansas City Royals for the World Series. Mets fans, do yourselves a favor. Like I said on Twitter, take 2 Xanax. Call it a night. Today, don't go on Twitter. Don't go on Twitter. Because it is savage right now. They are not, there's no chill for Mets fans right now. They're going, the things I've seen, the things that have been photoshopped, they're going at Mets fans' throat. And it's not just Phillies fans, it's Yankees fans, it's Royals fans, it's anybody who just are laughing at the Mets for just choking at the end. Mets are going to Met. That's what they did. You can't tell me Matt Harvey brought you all that way in the 9th inning. All you need was 3 outs. 3 outs. And then you start choking. Mets going to Met. And it's always been the history with the Mets. So, Mets, I'll put it like this. Some advice, stay off Twitter. Really. I will say this. As someone who, if I should feel sympathetic, I'm a Phillies fan. I don't know if I'm supposed to feel sympathetic or not. But, be happy for the season that you had. How about that? Be happy for the season you had. Yesterday was a hard time to be a New York fan. The Giants lost and the Mets lost. Yeah. Did the Jets lose too? I believe did the Jets come back on? I'm not sure. Yeah. Tough day to be a New York fan. I'm just saying. So, like I said, be happy with the season that you had. You had a great run this season. And like I said, no one wanted to see the Nationals win after what Jason Worth said, in the beginning of the season, saying they were the team to beat and everyone knew it. No one wanted to hear that. So, the Mets winning the division, okay. You made it to the NLCS, okay. And then, as you can see, the Royals, who redeemed themselves from last season, they're not a team to mess with. You give them one opening, and they took advantage of it. And that was it. So, congratulations to the Kansas City Royals. Yeah, they deserve the World Series. Mets fans leaving the stadium, Mets fans in shock, just watching it. It was just like wow, that's really tough. And you know what? At this point, I don't want to hear anything else about bagging on Phillies fans, Mets fans, because in 2008 we won our World Series. We did, and then we went back to the World Series in 2009, back to back. We're not even going to talk about what happened. We've talked about that before a long time ago. It does not matter. The fact is, we actually won it. You got to the World Series, but you didn't win. That's it. There's nothing else to be said. Like I said, Mets fans, just take the day off. Just seriously take the day off, because I'm sure after that it was kind of hurtful to watch that. I'm sure it was hurtful to watch another team just celebrate on your field like that. You know what? Now you know how us Flyers fans felt when the Chicago Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup and celebrated on our ice. Now you know how it feels. Anyways, I'm done for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.